Will, you ready, my friend?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
You
Over
ready?
unders.
Over
Let's
unders.
hopefully. Well, we'll see what you predict and what I predict, but based on what I've predicted, hopefully I'm right. Let's put it that way.
For sure, for sure. We're going 12 games here, guys. We're just using the regular season games. I think it's about the easiest way to do this. So it's kind of just even across the board. A lot easier to keep up with. So certainly schedule comes into play. You got the Cupcake versus LIU, South Florida to open up the season, and then the schedule ramps up. But here we go, 12 games. Will, let's go. Let's start what we always do: passing touchdowns for the quarterback. 30 passing touchdowns for quarterback DJ Lagway. You go back to Graham Mertz. He had 20 and 11 games in 2023. I went back a little bit, Will. Levi Lewis, of course, at Louisiana under Billy Napier. He had 26 in 2019, and that's the highest for a Napier quarterback. So really close there to 30 for Levi Lewis. So now hopefully there aren't many, the balls that are launch down the field like we saw so many times at Elijah Badger last year and get tackled at the 5-yard line. Hopefully those turn into touchdowns now. So you go with Lagway 12 last season. So we're going over under of 30. I'm going to go over here, Will, and I'm going to say 32 passing touchdowns for DJ Lagway.
So I mean, this one's tough. This one's right on a number that you can really sort of, based on last year. If you project his production over 450 throws, you end up at 28 touchdowns. But if you look at just his starts, you project to 31. So in fact, it's like 31 touchdowns and like 16 interceptions. So there's been a lot of talk about the number of interceptions he's thrown and stuff like that. But turns out his overall QB rating was like 156 for the whole year, but it's like 168 in the games that he started. And so one of the people have asked me a lot, why am I excited about Lagway? There's a bunch of different reasons. One is that he was better in the games that he started than in the games that he played every 3 drives. The other is that he was actually better in SEC play than he was in outside of SEC play.
And then, injured for most of those, or a couple, majorly injured for a couple of those as well.
And the other thing is that we have LIU, USF, Mississippi State, and Florida State on the schedule. I mean, that's 4 cupcakes to really pad your stats, man. And that last game of the year in the swamp,
with the zings early. Will with the zings
day,
early.
Florida State, like those a-holes came into the swamp 2 years ago and were chomping it up as they went to their 13-1 season and got left out of the playoff. That's the one where I want the 70 for Billy Napier. Like, put it on in that one. But I think Lagway. The reality is those big plays almost always turn into touchdowns. They didn't last year. We've joked about it a lot. That like in that game against Kentucky, Jaden Ball had 5 touchdowns, but it was because he kept running the ball in from like the 3-yard line every time. And look, that's going to happen a little bit this year.
Yeah.
But again, I haven't projected at 31 if you prorate it, but I think he's going to be better. So I peg him at 38 touchdowns.
All right, so go to my bookie and go to the Heisman odds. Because if I goes with the 38 passing touchdowns,
just wait till the next category, buddy. Just wait.
Okay, we got here wavelength. Good, that's a good wavelength, Will. Because I knew you were going to relate it to this one as well. I will let you go first, my friend. Lagway, 3,200 yards passing. Now, this one was difficult to me. I didn't really, you and I went back a little bit because you caught a mistake that I made. This one, I was tough. It was a little tough on my mind where to go with the number. I came with 32. Came with 3,200.
I am taking such an enormous over on this one.
Oh, wow.
So Lagway, listen to this stat. Lagway averaged 11.1 yards per attempt as a starter last year. 11.1. So first off, that's damn near impossible to replicate at a larger scale, but it was still 145 throws where he averaged 11.1 yards per attempt. So at that pace, he'd be at almost 5,000 yards if he throws 450 times. I don't think he hits that, right. But 3,200 is a joke unless he throws less than 300 balls. Mertz threw 348 in 23, back when he missed a game and a half and broke his collarbone, all that sort of stuff. So if Lagway stays even remotely healthy, if he throws 350 balls, he's going to be over 3,200 yards easy. because I don't expect him to average less than 10 yards a throw. I mean, he averaged 10 yards a throw for the whole season and was inconsistent on everything underneath. I think his completion percentage goes up 4, 5, 6% this year. And I think we're looking at a guy who's averaging 10.5, 11 yards a throw for the entire season. This is why I'm excited about the year, because I look at it and go, Lagway wasn't very good underneath and still averaged 11 yards per throw when he started. Like, and some of that is Samford, some of that is Kentucky, but some of that is he blew the roof off of Georgia's defense too before he got hurt. Some of that is that LSU couldn't stop him when it was critical time. Some of it was Ole Miss couldn't stop him when it was critical time, and some of it is that he actually played pretty poorly against Tulane and still was the bowl game MVP.
Right.
Like, you look at the stat line, you're like, too many interceptions, all stuff. Still like 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 330 yards, average like 10.5 yards an attempt. Like, that's who this guy is. I don't think there's any way, if he stays healthy, he's under 3,200 yards. Like, out of all the things that I would guarantee, like the blood bank guarantee for the gamblers and all that sort of stuff, the MyBookie will blood bank guarantee over 3,200 yards.
Dang, I went under.
Oh my goodness.
And it's not a Lagway thing. And I'm not even down in the offense because of this year. I just think probably relying on more of the run game at times. I still think I like Ball. I like Jackson. I like this offensive line makeup for the run game. I just think and that still could be true for your point though, because it's still the yards per attempt and the yards per completion that may blow it out of the water. It may not. Florida still may run the ball about like I think they do, and that's why I think it maybe gets held back. But maybe to your point, the yards per attempt and the yards per completion, he gets there anyway.
Well, I mean, think about what he did against Kentucky. Like, just think about it for a second. Like, he threw the ball 14 times for like 246 yards. It's just like ridiculous. I mean, there's stats where you look at it and go, is that even like possible that he could do that? Now, look, I mean, he looked like crap against Tennessee, but still hit a big one at the end there. So the Kentucky set 7 of 14 for 259 yards. He averaged 18.5 yards per attempt in that game. But even in games where he struggled a little bit, I mean, look, Georgia 7.8, but he only threw the ball 6 times. But 8.7 yards per attempt against LSU, 10.6 against Ole Miss, 8.7 against Tulane. The only team that kind of held him down was Florida State, and that was one where it looked like everybody was bored. I mean, he had 2 games last year. 2 games, Dave, one against an SEC opponent where he averaged over 18 yards an attempt. Like, that is just ridiculous. And the ability to hit those big, long plays is something that, yes, I see in the comments, people are saying I forgot who our head coach is. No, I didn't. It just turns out that when your quarterback hits like 70% of his long throws, things are going to look nice. Yeah. So, I mean, look, you throw the ball 14 times, but you throw for 255 yards, you're going to get the 3,200 pretty easily. So I respect you for taking under on this one, Dave, but I got a couple of bucks on Lagway winning the Heisman. We need him to.
I'm throwing a flag on myself. You've talked me into it.
Have I now?
You've talked me into it.
Oh, this is going to make for great podcasting at the end of the year when he's at 1,800 yards.
Let me be clear on this. We're not taking injury into account here. Like, we can't forecast that. So, I probably should have said that at the beginning when I said, this is based off of 12 games. For Lagway stats, of course it is. We're thinking he's going to play, a majority of the games, 11, 12 games, all that good stuff. I can't forecast injuries, and we can go all kinds of routes if we did it that way. But yeah, okay. I'm throwing a flag on myself, and I am now going the other way. I will go over with that, thanks to the excellent analysis of One Wheel Miles there. So,
hey, I've convinced somebody. You must have a couple of bucks on Lagway for Heisman too. Shoot, he's gonna have to throw for more than 3,200 yards. That's true. It's 265, right? It's 265 a game. So, like the game against LIU, like you need 400 yards in order to have a stinker in there at some point along the way. But I don't see a way that Florida. I know Napier frustrates people, but he's going to have the best quarterback on the field in every game but one quite clearly coming into the year. And no, I'm not talking about Garrett Nussmeier being that one. And so,
well, I think you made the point a couple of weeks ago saying when Lagway was the quarterback, the offense was one of the best in the country.
It was a top 5 offense in yards per play when Lagway was out there. Nick Newsom for our preseason magazine went and charted every single play for the entire year, and we sorted it based on Aiden Warner. They averaged like 2.5 yards a play, and then Mertz they averaged like 5.2, 5.3, something like that, and Lagway was like 6.3. It's like, right up there with the Ohio States of the world in terms of the amount of yardage that they were putting up on a per play basis. Now, it was way more inconsistent than you'd like. Right. And so those big plays didn't necessarily come from these sustained drives. Honestly, I think the running game and then Lagway's improvement underneath is only going to make it better, because what it means is you're going to get a couple of third down conversions, and it's going to give you more opportunities to hit those big plays, because once you show you can convert underneath, well, now the defense has to creep up. And man, the minute they showed him any kind of man coverage, he just destroyed it. And the thing is like, when you think about the accuracy, one of the things that really impresses me is the ball's out of his hand before the wide receiver even really like gets past the corner, and really before the receiver goes too far past the line of scrimmage. Like, these aren't like bombs. For the most part, these aren't bombs that travel 50 yards in the air. It's something where he just throws a perfect touch pass 25 yards downfield, and the guy's basically able to beat the corner on a fade, and it turns into a huge play because he drops it in there like he just placed it there. Again, he's got to keep that going. He's got to be able to do that. But that's one of those things where, 265 a game, I'm willing to say significantly over. I mean, I don't think he's going to get to 5,000 yards. If he does, we're trying to figure out how to like, what kind of NIL we got to put together that buys a guy a yacht. But a good problem to have if that's what we're doing.
Yep, and I have the schematics of the Heisman statue that we already need to be made. We'll get the 3D scan going as well, and let's get going. So
I'm here for it, man. I'm here for it.
Oh, the season is here, and it is time to bet with our good friends. They're back for another season at MyBookie. Look, you don't have to worry about betting Florida, Long Island. There ain't no spread out there for that one. With all that's going on and the mismatch that happens there, but you can get in on those future bets. With Florida, a 5.5 point underdog at LSU. Yeah, so if you want to get in on that one, you can. Or a 3 point underdog at Miami. You can go ahead and get on those bets right there at mybookie.ag. If you like those odds, go bet on it at MyBookie. What about an over-under of 3.5 conference wins for the Gators? You can get plus 1825 odds for Florida to win the SEC. You can even bet the over-under of 3.5 for the number of SEC teams that will make the college football playoff. Now is the time to get in on these odds if you're a believer in the Gators. MyBookie is your one-stop sports book and casino all in one. It's the casino games there at MyBookie as well. So one account, one wallet, bet football all weekend, then hit the slots after dark. No switching apps, no jumping platforms, just straight up action at MyBookie. And if you're new to MyBookie, use our promo code Gators, and your first bet up to $500 is fully covered. Make your play, and if it doesn't hit, you get it right back with the bet back bonus. No stress, just a one-time rollover on the return bet, so you're free to reload and keep firing. Sign up at mybookie.ag with promo code Gators and claim your bet back bonus.